Goodness, I mean, really, what can be said about that? But first of all, LSBU has got a very special place in the project because it was in your Chief Operating Officer's office, Ian Mertens, who sadly isn't here today, that I first realized that this might be a project that could work. I was really just sort of talking to everybody that I could think of that might help me open doors. And Ian was the first person who, when I talked to about what we've been doing, I saw a flame came on behind his eyes. And it was the first moment that I thought, maybe this isn't such a crazy idea, and maybe this is something that we could actually do. And then I spent many happy afternoons perched at the end of Ian's desk, taking meetings when I basically had been otherwise working out of cafes. I've been told to say something inspiring, but I think that's kind of a high bar. So instead, really what I want to talk about is what is the main thing that I think is really important in particularly in getting a project like this off the ground. I mean, first of all, it was essential that we set up an LGBTQ+ museum. It was essential that we created this platform to help people be seen, particularly when we're talking about sets of communities who've often been ignored or other people have written their histories in the margin. And I wanted to make sure that our communities felt seen and heard. But a vision is useless unless it's shared. And so really, I actually want to say a thank you to some of the some really important people here today who I think I share this honour with in real terms. I really share this honour with. First of all, I want to say thank you to my husband, Mark, who none of this would have happened without him, and he's been a rock and a support through. He's heard the laughs and he's heard the tears. I wanted to say thank you to Lynn, who is our head of operations and actually also used to work at LSBU, so another way of tying into this wonderful university. Lynn is the person who has washed my face and kept me pointing in the right direction and made sure that I turned up for the right things at the right time, because I'm not that organised. Dan, who has charmed his way through the entire museum sector and has really been one of the leading lights in queering museums across the country and has helped us understand better what we need to be as a museum. Mark King, who every time I've done anything I've worked with on and off for 20 years, and he's our head of design and special projects, and everything I've ever done he has made better, and he has lifted up and made it look more developed and more advanced than it is. And actually part of the trick of pulling off a project like this is you've got to convince people that it already exists and it already looks good. And Mark has been absolutely instrumental in doing that. And I also want to thank Terry and Neil and Sam from LSBU who have been volunteering with us from the start. I think Terry was one of the first people through the doors when we took volunteers and trustees to see the building. And I think the last thing I want to say is that I've never known what I wanted to do with my life, and I've always just sort of followed what I thought was the most interesting thing in front of my feet at any one time. And for all of those people who say to you, what are you going to do with your life? What are you going to do now you've left? For those of you who don't know, I would say don't be terrified about it. Just lean into the world. Do the things that don't clash with your own values, and try and work for people whose values you share. Thank you. Thank you all.